The only two supplements you really need to build muscle. The rest is a waste. The more the fitness industry grows, the more we're bombarded with ads for new supplements. Every month, something revolutionary appears, obligatory, essential, saying that if you don't take that specific product, you'll lose performance and never evolve. This marketing is built on fear and scarcity, the fear of falling behind and the feeling that everyone knows something you don't. The result is accumulation of containers and money being invested where it doesn't need to be. The reality is much simpler and much less profitable for the industry. You don't need an entire shelf of supplements to build muscle mass. Just two already deliver excellent results. And no, neither of them is whey protein. Today you'll see which are these two supplements, and at the same time, I'll expose 4 popular supplements that the industry tries to push as indispensable, explaining clearly why they are, in practice, a huge waste. Before we start, please tell us through the comments your name and the city where you're watching our content from. We'd love to know why whey isn't that essential. According to research, whey is currently the most consumed supplement in the world, and that's why we need to start by explaining why it's not that essential, because we're sure that this effect of if everyone takes it, I have to take it too is very present. The truth is that whey protein is just protein powder. Nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't have magical properties and can be completely replaced by real foods like chicken, eggs, fish, red meat, or even dairy products. Whey's big differential is in practicality. For those who have a busy routine, can't stop to make complete meals throughout the day, or need something quick after training, it's extremely versatile and convenient. You mix it with water or milk, it's ready in seconds and solves the problem. But if you have time to cook, to plan your meals and to eat protein throughout the day, leaving whey aside won't make any difference in your results. What truly matters is reaching the total daily protein amount, which generally ranges around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Here's the point that many people don't understand. Whey is not an ergogenic supplement. This means it doesn't increase strength, power, or protein synthesis beyond what the total daily protein already allows. If you're already consuming sufficient protein through food, adding whey simply won't bring additional benefit. It doesn't act on inflammation, doesn't improve mitochondrial function, doesn't increase cellular volume significantly, nor does it directly interfere with energy signaling. Whey's value is logistical, not physiological. It solves a convenience problem, not a performance one. Therefore, if your diet is already well structured and you can hit your protein needs with real food, save the money you'd spend on whey and invest in supplements that really make a difference in your body, like the ones we'll see ahead. Now that you've understood whey's real function, let's move to the supplements you should avoid. Supplement number 1, multivitamin. The multivitamin is a generic solution for a problem that's individual. Each person has different nutritional deficiencies, specific deficiencies that depend on diet, lifestyle, genetics, and even the region where they live. The multivitamin label doesn't take any of this into account. It offers a standardized package that probably includes vitamins and minerals you're already consuming at adequate levels through food. When you ingest nutrients the body doesn't need, there's simply no benefit. The organism eliminates the excess, or in some cases, can even generate problems. Excess zinc, for example, interferes with copper absorption. Unnecessary iron can cause oxidative stress in those who don't have deficiency. Excess calcium can impair magnesium absorption. Most people take multivitamins without ever having done a blood test to identify what's really missing. This transforms supplementation into a shot in the dark. You're betting that product will cover all your needs, but in practice you're spending money on something you don't know if it works. The ideal is to do laboratory tests, identify real deficiencies, and supplement only what's missing, in isolated form and at the correct dose. This is more precise, more effective, and, surprisingly, usually ends up cheaper in the long run. If you discover you have vitamin D deficiency, for example, you buy isolated vitamin D at the adequate dose. If the problem is magnesium, you supplement magnesium. This way, you actually solve the problem, instead of throwing money at a product that doesn't meet your specific needs. Supplement number 2, pre-workout. The basis of most pre-workouts is simply caffeine. Everything else that appears on the label is there mainly to justify the high price and create the illusion that you're consuming something complex and scientific. Beta-alanine, citrulline, taurine, arginine, and a series of other compounds appear in insufficient doses to generate any real physiological effect. They're underdosed on purpose, because putting the effective dose would make the product too expensive or bulky. What you really feel when taking a pre-workout is the effect of caffeine, which could be obtained much more cheaply and controllably with a cup of strong coffee or isolated caffeine capsules. Furthermore, ready-made mixtures make fine-tuning the dose difficult. You can't increase just the caffeine without increasing everything else, or decrease the beta-alanine without decreasing the rest. This increases the risk of unwanted side effects, like tremors, anxiety, insomnia, or that uncomfortable tingling many people feel. Another serious problem is psychological dependence. When you always train with pre-workout, the brain starts associating good performance with the product. Over time, you feel you can't train well without it, even if the real effect is just placebo. The cost-benefit is extremely low. You pay dearly for caffeine disguised as a scientific formula. Supplement number 3, BCAA. BCAA is composed of 3 isolated amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. The problem is that muscle synthesis doesn't depend only on these 3. To build muscle, the body needs all essential amino acids working together, not just a part of them. When total protein intake is already adequate, BCAA doesn't add any measurable benefit in strength, hypertrophy, or recovery. Studies show this consistently. If you already eat sufficient protein throughout the day, supplementing BCAA is redundant. These amino acids are already present in abundance in protein foods like meat, eggs, milk, and even in whey protein itself. A portion of chicken or whey already offers all the BCAAs you need, along with all the other essential amino acids. Isolated supplementation ends up being based much more on aggressive marketing than on solid scientific evidence. The industry created the narrative that BCAA prevents catabolism, improves recovery, and accelerates gains, but the reality is that for most people who already eat correctly, it's a completely unnecessary expense. You're literally paying for something you're already receiving through diet. It's like buying very expensive bottled water when you already have filtered water at home. Supplement number 4, beta-alanine. Beta-alanine has a very specific application. It improves performance in continuous high-intensity efforts with intermediate duration, generally between 60 seconds and 4 minutes. For those who train traditional bodybuilding with short sets of 8 to 12 repetitions and pauses between sets, this benefit is minimal or completely irrelevant. It doesn't increase maximum strength, doesn't directly stimulate hypertrophy, and doesn't correct any common nutritional bottleneck. The effect only appears with chronic use and at relatively high doses, generally between 4 and 6 grams per day. Furthermore, beta-alanine causes that uncomfortable tingling on the skin, technically called paresthesia, which many people find unbearable. For most people who train bodybuilding with the goal of gaining muscle mass, the practical impact on training is too small to justify the cost, especially when compared to supplements with much more consistent and comprehensive effects, like creatine. Beta-alanine may have its place in very specific protocols, like CrossFit training or high-intensity circuits, but for the common bodybuilding practitioner, it's just another product the industry tries to sell as essential when, in reality, it's dispensable. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress healthily long-term in the bodybuilding world. Now that you know exactly which supplements to avoid, let's move to the only 2 supplements you need. Supplement number 1, creatine. Creatine is worth it because it acts directly on one of the most important energy systems for strength training, the ATP phosphocreatine system. During short and intense bodybuilding sets, the body uses ATP as an immediate energy source. Creatine increases phosphocreatine stores in the muscle, allowing you to regenerate ATP more quickly and produce more strength and power in each set. This translates into more repetitions, more weight lifted over time, and consequently, more stimulus for hypertrophy. Unlike many supplements, creatine works even when the diet is already well structured. It doesn't depend on nutritional deficiencies to have effect. It also increases muscle cellular volume through intracellular water retention, which favors anabolic signaling and creates a more conducive environment for growth. Beyond physical performance, there's solid evidence of cognitive benefits. Studies show that creatine supplementation improves working memory, reaction time, and reasoning, especially in situations of sleep deprivation or elevated mental stress. A study published in the journal Psychopharmacology demonstrated that 6 weeks of supplementation with 5 grams daily significantly improved performance on memory and intelligence tests. It also offers neuromuscular protection and helps maintain lean mass with aging, being especially relevant for older adults. Creatine is cheap, safe, extensively studied for decades, and practically impossible to achieve in effective doses only with food. Although the body produces creatine naturally from amino acids, this endogenous production isn't sufficient to saturate muscle stores. To reach optimal levels, you'd need to consume absurd quantities of red meat daily, which would be impractical and expensive. For all these reasons, creatine is at the absolute top of the supplement hierarchy. Supplement number 2, omega-3. Omega-3 is worth it because it acts as an inflammatory and structural modulator, not just as a fitness supplement. It participates in the composition of cell membranes, improves communication between cells, and directly influences muscle recovery. For those who train, this means better response to training, less chronic inflammation, and better insulin sensitivity, which facilitates nutrient partitioning to muscle instead of adipose tissue. Dietary intake of omega-3 is usually low, since few people consume fatty fish like salmon, sardines, or tuna with adequate frequency. Even those who eat fish regularly often don't reach the recommended doses of EPA and DHA, the active fatty acids of omega-3. Omega-3 also has a positive impact on cardiovascular health, reducing triglycerides, improving endothelial function, and decreasing the risk of cardiac events. It benefits joints, reducing stiffness and discomfort, and acts on the nervous system, improving mood and cognitive function. This is especially relevant with advancing age. There's evidence that it potentiates the anabolic response to training stimulus in older adults, facilitating muscle protein synthesis. It doesn't generate acute effect like a stimulant, but improves the physiological environment long-term, creating more favorable conditions for recovery, growth, and overall health. Therefore, it's a high cost-benefit supplement for continuous use. I make it clear that, although it's possible to obtain omega-3 through food, reaching therapeutic doses only with food is extremely difficult in practice. Supplementation guarantees consistency and efficacy. Now that you know exactly which supplements to avoid and which are worthwhile, here are 3 more bonus supplements that, if you want to take them, can help improve your performance even more. They're not absolutely necessary like creatine and omega-3, but they can help. Supplement number 1, vitamin D. Vitamin D is worth it because it functions more like a hormone than like a common vitamin. It directly influences muscle strength, bone health, immune function, and hormonal regulation, including testosterone. Vitamin D deficiency is extremely common, especially in people who train in closed gyms, work in indoor environments, or live in regions with little adequate sun exposure. When levels are low, there's strength drop, worse recovery, greater injury risk, and even mood compromise. In older adults, adequate vitamin D levels are associated with better preservation of muscle mass and lower risk of falls, which are one of the main causes of fractures and loss of independence. Supplementation corrects a silent bottleneck that limits results, even with correct training and diet. Unlike supplements with immediate effect, vitamin D's impact is systemic and cumulative. You don't feel difference from one day to the next, but over weeks and months, the body responds better to training stimulus, recovers faster, and functions more efficiently. Ideal use should be guided by blood tests, since needs vary from person to person depending on sun exposure, skin tone, and other factors. But when there's deficiency, the return is real and measurable. Vitamin D isn't a luxury supplement, it's a deficiency correction that affects performance and health broadly. Supplement number 2, magnesium. Magnesium is worth it because it participates in hundreds of metabolic reactions linked to energy production, muscle contraction, and relaxation. It's fundamental for ATP functioning, the body's energy currency, which directly affects performance and recovery. Low magnesium levels are associated with frequent cramps, chronic fatigue, poor sleep, and greater neuromuscular stress. Athletes and physically active people tend to have greater magnesium demand and greater loss through sweat, which increases deficiency risk. Furthermore, modern diets are usually poor in bioavailable magnesium, since processed and refined foods lose much of this mineral during processing. Supplementation can significantly improve sleep quality, facilitating muscle relaxation and melatonin production. Better sleep means better recovery, and better recovery means more progress in training. Magnesium also improves training tolerance, reducing fatigue perception, and allowing you to train with more intensity and volume. It doesn't build muscle directly, but removes limitations that block evolution. When there's deficiency, supplementation's impact is clear. You sleep better, wake up more rested, have fewer cramps, and can sustain more intense training. It's a supplement that works behind the scenes, but makes real difference. Supplement number 3, zinc. Zinc is worth it because it's essential for hormonal production, especially testosterone, besides participating in protein synthesis and immunity. Zinc deficiency reduces performance, worsens recovery, and compromises training adaptations. People who train hard, sweat a lot, or consume few animal protein sources have greater risk of insufficient intake. Zinc also acts in tissue healing, which directly influences muscle and joint recovery after intense training. Unlike stimulant supplements, zinc's effect is restorative, not artificial. It doesn't give you instant energy, nor does it improve training immediately. What it does is guarantee the body is functioning at optimal levels, allowing you to respond better to training and diet. When levels are adequate, hormonal production is maintained, protein synthesis happens efficiently, and the immune system functions well, preventing you from getting sick and missing training. The care is not to overdo it. Excess zinc can impair absorption of other minerals, like copper and iron. Therefore, supplementation should be done consciously, preferably guided by tests. Still, when there's deficiency, zinc's cost-benefit is high. It solves a real problem in a simple and accessible way. If you enjoyed this and want to also discover the 10 effects that creatine has on your body after 50 years that only 1% of people know, we left a video appearing right now on the screen showing better each one of them. Don't fail to check it out. Thank you for watching until here, and God bless you, my friend.